Ever since Superman's release in July, there's been non-stop buzz about the overall DC universe and what's going to happen with some major players in it. Of course, Batman is the first one people care about. Since Robert Pattinson's The Batman won over many people's hearts, the debate over whether he should be included in James Gunn's DCU is a topic that's been echoing throughout all of comic book movie media for years. Now, James Gunn has vehemently stated another actor and version of the character will be in his DCU, but that hasn't stopped people from wishing otherwise anyway. Since Superman was released on streaming recently, I decided to rewatch it with the intent to watch The Batman right after it. I saw someone on Twitter mention how eye-opening the two movies are if you put them back to back, so I decided to do just that. After doing so, I can't help but be surprised as the two movies share a very similar structure and identity. Although the films bolster different tones, one being a dark, gritty, noir thriller, while the other is a bubbly, colorful, eccentric, and fast-paced one, both share similar themes of retaining hope, overcoming familial adversity, and maintaining one's morals in a world that's built against them. And that's what I wanted to highlight in today's video. Show the striking similarities between both films, and by the end of the video, I'll even give my opinion on where I would like Pattinson's Batman to be, either in the DCU or kept in his own universe. So without further ado, let's dive into our own world's finest.
2 years of nights have turned me into a nocturnal animal.
Skipping an origin can be pretty effective if done correctly. One of my biggest criticisms that I have for some artists is that they think an origin is pointless, and skipping over the genesis of what makes a character who they're meant to be can be fast-tracked. Now, I don't think we need to see the whole bit by a spider, parents murdered bits anymore. I agree with that. But at least the effects of that moment still need to be shown, and that character's mindset of that origin still needs to be intact when the movie starts. Both of these movies have the same starting point. In The Batman, Bruce has been surveying the streets of Gotham for 2 years, terrorizing those who do harm at night, signifying fear in the darkness of Gotham's streets. The use of Bruce's journal and narration spell out the importance of his origin without overstaying its welcome.
We have a signal now.
Amplifies the work he's been doing for the city, while visually showing the respect Gordon has for Batman by using this light. We also get a masterful visual representation of Bruce's origin through the eyes of Bruce himself, looking at a little kid who's at the scene of his father's murder. The camera pointing at Batman's eyes as he relates to the struggles this little kid is going through, losing not only a father, but Gotham's political leader. Now, Superman does this as well, not only foregoing the whole Krypton explosion thing, but also his time in Smallville and dealing with Jonathan Kent's death, since he's alive in this universe, but also all that new power stuff scenes, falling for Lois and revealing himself to the people of Metropolis. With this movie, he's been a known metahuman to the people of Metropolis for 3 years. The movie focuses on Superman's parents' message to him on his ship as a child to reinforce his motivations to help people, and that's what the film shows. Even though he's been beaten for the very first time, he continues to help people, whom the people know and support, as they know each other by name. Instead of unveiling Superman's identity to Lois, it's already known, and the two immediately get into an argument in an interview with Superman. Stuff like this is what keeps me engaged with learning about a superhero's motivations and story if we're bypassing an origin completely. I think how both of these filmmakers go about distancing the origin, but including it through the characters' inherent deep incentives for doing what they do is important, and I love the visual language the Batman does for this in particular. As I said, the crooks look at the sky and see the signal, slowly holding on to it as they look in the shadows, feeling fear of seeing him. Just amazing. Also, the up-close shots of Bruce Wayne's eyes through Batman's mask, looking at the little boy, 10 out of 10. But with Superman, seeing his emotions come through in his interview with Lois was incredible. It revealed Clark's initial emotional state regarding his actions. Plus, it was a 12-minute dialogue sequence that didn't feel like it at all. Both of these films exude care for their world building and trust the audience enough to understand the characters' goals without doing the play-by-play origin that's already been done before 6 or 7 times at this point, which I think is pretty awesome. But it's just the start of the similarities both of these films share.
Your choices, Clark. Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Now, both Bruce and Clark experience deep and emotional setbacks throughout their respective movies, dealing with a specific black and white viewpoint on their motives, and then learning something so deeply unnerving that it halts their progression as a hero. This is where I believe James Gunn and Matt Reeves intertwine their stories because it is so close in theme, it's crazy. The Batman opens up with Bruce at a point where he's feared among Gotham's streets. His tagline,
I'm vengeance,
is basically his name throughout the whole movie. No one calls him Batman. He is vengeance. He's figuratively and literally on top of the city, overlooking all of its citizens and criminals. He views all of crime in a very black and white type of way. When looking into a case with Catwoman, he finds her friend's criminal activities just as bad as any other, even though she was pressured into it to survive, and also because it was her only choice. It adds a great juxtaposition to Catwoman, who points out how privileged he probably is, not knowing it's Bruce behind the mask. That also adds great layers to the relationship aspect of the Batman. As the Riddler reveals more and more crooked cops, he mentions how they crossed a line to do these things, painting them as terrible people. Bruce's motivations to do what he does stem from his perception of his parents and living up to that name through justice. So when the Riddler tears down that reputation for Bruce, making Bruce realize his parents weren't exactly who they thought they were, well, it totally wrecks him. I love how defeated he looks after finding this news out, immediately going to Carmine Falcone to see if the truth is real.
I know. You thought your father was a Boy Scout, but you'd be surprised what even a good man like him is capable of in the right situation.
This moral shattering reveal is executed so well, leading to Bruce's eventual conversation with Alfred over it. In a 3-hour movie with the Batman, it's this moment with Bruce and Alfred that hits like a truck, because Batman holding himself to such a higher regard against the criminals he stops is shattered now, and his viewpoint has shifted entirely. The character he knows his family and himself as isn't the same anymore. This character change forces him to look at himself differently, but also how he goes about being Batman. The scene with Alfred is the perfect representation of this conflict rising because it shows us Bruce at his most vulnerable. He can't believe his father would fall to Falcone and get someone killed, yet it's Alfred who reassures his viewpoint to Bruce that it was only a moment of weakness, a mistake, and that it shouldn't define someone's overall character. His father wasn't a terrible man, just a guy looking out for his wife that led down the wrong path, which ultimately got him killed. This scene recontextualizes the death of Bruce's parents. Instead of holier-than-thou people dying, it was humans, people who made mistakes just as much as other criminals Batman fights do, dying. The guttural admittance from Bruce that the fear of losing a loved one again in Alfred due to his actions was another scene-stealing moment, revealing that our stoic hero was still mourning and scared. And then the embrace between him and Alfred. Just a perfect scene, no notes. It's a scene that focuses so much on Alfred helping Bruce see his own faults with his previous mentality, and then Bruce unveiling his true feelings. Remarkably done. But this translates to his overall arc throughout the rest of the film, trying to turn that vengeance nickname into a symbol of hope, and a beacon for people to be safe around, and not just a scare tactic for criminals. I'll dive into the hope section a bit later on, but how this emotional arc is done in harmony with Superman is wild. In Superman, Clark is a hero that's been constantly in one state of mind. His alien roots live within him through the message his parents recorded for him when he came to Earth. Its message is the standard one we all know. Inspire hope and help others. It's what he's done and strived to live for as long as he's been on the planet. It's the last remains of his parents, so he holds a lot of power in those words. He's helped people as much as he can in a way that selfishly doesn't consider many other factors, which the film includes. Lois interrogating him for his actions puts into perspective that although Superman may have the best interest in helping, he's not considering that he's invading these governments without oversight. Clark's initial motivators stem from parental messaging and childhood discipline. However, in contrast to the Batman, Clark in the beginning of this movie is less so feared and on top of the world, instead at the bottom of it. Metaphorically speaking, his first scene is him losing a fight. He's beaten, and although people know his name, he's a target for other powerful people to try and stop, which is what Lex does using the hammer of Bravia to knock Superman down again. Down with the people, where they lift him up and help him. Superman is grounded and a man of the people. The film goes out of its way to humanize that part of him. However, the crazy twist of this movie affects the way people view him, which causes him to internalize all of his problems. Lex Luthor reveals to the world in a public interview the full message Clark's parents said to him, how his message went from an outcry of hope to one of invasion, authoritarianism, and power. A person who saw their parents in a heroic and peaceful way now had his whole mindset of them shifted upside down in the matter of seconds. This ambiguous message, with a piece of it missing, now having that piece revealed, changed his mindset on himself, but it also changed how the world viewed him and their opinion of him. How can one inspire hope when everyone believes you had a secret harem that you've never known about. Now, it's an interesting message. I'll admit, I wasn't a huge fan of this at first, but after contextualizing it with the Batman, wow, does this mirror in a way that's shifted my perspective on it, and I like it a lot more. In a similar way of Batman going to Carmine looking defeated, Superman actually gets defeated by Lex and is held prisoner, having to deal with all of these emotions, getting kryptonite held against him for an exuberantly long time. Yet when given the opportunity, he still helps Metamorpho's son and escapes Lex's black hole, proving his own nature is still prevailing. But it's when he's on his farm with Pa Kent that his motivations are recontextualized. Clark reveals his feelings with Pa about his parents' message and how it's affected him, yet John views it as everything he's done before and after has been Clark's own choices, and that those choices can continue to do good, no matter what his heritage told him to do. Instead of Pa Kent criticizing how Clark's done things, it's a scene where a father admits he's proud of his son, and hopes he continues being a beacon of hope for others. Although the overall messages are different between the Batman and Superman, it's where the characters started and ended by these moments that are strikingly similar. Bruce is learning to overcome his previous mindset, accept that good can come in different layers, and realize he still fears losing those he loves, while Clark learns his heritage doesn't define what he can be, and that his power is good, because deep down, he's good. Both heroes get crushed and brought to their lowest with this familial crushing news, but both overcome it through the love of their adoptive dads and grow as heroes. But they wouldn't grow without the help of their adversaries, which also share a common amount of characteristics amongst each other.
You and I both know. I'm looking at the real you right now. My mask allowed me to be myself completely. No shame.
Both the Riddler and Lex Luthor share certain complex motivations that bring their antagonistic actions to light. To start, both of these characters are built to morally question and agonize their heroes. Riddler almost kills Alfred, and Lex reveals Superman's deep dark secrets to the world. However, another major point between these two characters is how influential their intentions with politics are. The Riddler's main goal in Gotham is to bring to light the corrupt politicians and leaders that are running it and kill them, which he does, one by one, almost getting Bruce Wayne in the process. Lex, on the other hand, uses his political affiliates to not only influence his territorial power, but also as a helping hand in swaying the public's opinion of Superman, so he can get the official go-ahead to kill him. The biggest similarity between both of these particular villains, though, is their consistent jealousy, hatred, and enviousness for Batman and Superman. In the Batman, the Riddler mirrors Bruce in his origin, both orphans but treated in radically different ways. One was given the resources to adapt in a normalish kind of way. Clearly that didn't work.
I'm vengeance.
While the other had bounced around from orphanages that didn't have heaters, had rats, kids were brutal, turning him into the Riddler we know by the film. Riddler wishes he could have gotten the experience Bruce had, and the fact it's built into a scene that makes you think the Riddler knows Bruce's secret, oof. Just want to take a second to say, I love how even though the camera is focused on Pattinson in the dark, you can feel the life leave his body just through his eye acting, until he realizes Riddler actually doesn't know his secret identity, and he gains so much more confidence. Just brilliant acting from Paul Dano and Robert Pattinson in the scene. In a similar nature, Lex is envious of Superman's immediate popularity as he feels it's undeserved. His work and intellect have provided him popularity for a good reason, but his ultimate hatred for Superman revolves around the appraisal and respect this alien gets by the people of Metropolis and all around the world. He doesn't think it's deserved, same way Riddler felt Bruce's citywide pity was undeserved. And in a similar way, Lex plays with Superman by revealing his secret identity in a backhanded kind of way. In-universe, it seems he doesn't know Clark Kent is Superman, but it leaves you wondering, maybe he does. It's another scene done really well. Both villains use their envy and hatred to manipulate their heroes and get them to fall to their metaphorical knees, having revealed their deepest secrets to the world and targeting or hurting those close to them, like Riddler sending Alfred to the hospital and Lex dog-napping Krypto and killing a civilian that was a fan of Superman. However, they also tear apart the homes they come from. Riddler floods all of Gotham in order to sink it, and Lex rips apart Metropolis. These villains were perfectly executed to drive our heroes into becoming better versions of themselves and push their inner growth to its limits. A movie is only as good as its villain, right? Well, these movies not only share conceptual themes, but fantastic villains. However, these heroes wouldn't grow without their powerful love interests either.
You trust everyone and think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Maybe that's the real punk rock.
Now, it goes without saying that these two are lover boys deep down, and the relationships they have with Catwoman and Lois are universally praised as comic book relationship royalty. So of course, we gotta get it in live action. Now, Selina and Lois play critical supporting characters because they challenge Bruce and Clark in developmental ways, and offer thought-provoking criticisms to their actions. As I mentioned before, in a 12-minute long sequence shared between Lois interviewing Superman, she challenges the way he thinks and how it doesn't follow the specific rules most governments use to enact policy. She challenges his job, how he goes about superheroics. However, she also challenges Clark personally in a relationship level, but so does he. He opens Lois up about being in a relationship and not running away from it. His selflessness and care for others, even his dog turning himself in, made her understand why he does what he does. Lois pushes Clark to rethink how he does his heroics, and Clark makes Lois rethink the purpose of being with someone, both concluding in an embrace by the end of the film. Catwoman follows a similar enough path. A woman burdened with working with crooks in order to survive. Batman's black and white morality in the beginning of the movie conflicts both of them. Batman views working with the likes of crime bosses like the Penguin and Carmine Falcone as scummy, which Catwoman suggests is just her trying to survive and not out of loyalty to them. Catwoman brings to light Bruce's inner privilege.
It means your choices have consequences.
Jesus Christ. Choices? You know, whoever the hell you are, you obviously grew up rich.
And even though he's behind a mask, you can see how this comment hits a nerve, suggesting that he needs to see crime with a more understanding viewpoint. However, Bruce helps Selina with her rage, and her need and want to kill her father. Selina's hatred for Carmine almost causes her to kill him, when he's not expecting it, yet Bruce stops her from doing it. Their natural chemistry and theatrics in this garbage of a city cause them to see each other in a fonder light. Both relationships have partners that grow each other. However, unlike Clark and Lois, Bruce and Selina have to sacrifice each other, for their end goals are different by the end of their film.
I have to become more. People need hope. To know someone's out there for them.
Earlier in the video, I talked about how these two's emotional arcs are very similar, which in case is true. What's also similar is how these two needed to become symbols of hope for their respective cities. With the Batman, his reputation for evoking fear into the common crime doer was at its peak in the beginning of the film. He was a bat, looking for any common crook to stop. The beginning of the film puts us into the eyes of the criminal, showing us the rooted fear Batman's image and presence cause for those in Gotham. The corruption brought to Gotham forces Bruce to revel in that dark and gritty reality. He believes the only way to combat this structure is to bring even more fear to it, become vengeance, and that makes waves across the city. It's not until the end of the movie where he realizes the depth that statement caused. Seeing a Riddler goon speak the same words made him realize how twisted his point of view towards justice was. It's why he believes by the end of the movie he needs to be something more, and why instead of running away from Gotham, he's running towards it, because his beacon stands for something more than fear. It's a sense of hope, but not for the goons of Gotham, for the citizens of it now. The ending is a beautiful depiction of how Batman's worldview has changed. When Batman is helping civilians, the camera looks up at him as he's doing it, showcasing the power he holds over the city in a nurturing way, contrasted with the beating he gives the thug in the beginning, where the camera views him above the thug, demanding it. It's a beautiful contrast to where he starts to where he ends. Now, Superman doesn't have a drastic change from beginning to end. He's a man of hope from start to finish. However, he does undergo an emotional change that helps his hopeful characteristics. In the beginning of the movie, Superman is a very ground level. The movie makes him lose fights in order for us to feel more related to him. He still inspires hope and levity, but it's more realistic. However, when his parents are revealed to be terrorists, his inner morals are questioned and he becomes less confident in who he is. He spends the rest of the movie finding that confidence to speak out and be that guy. Where the camera lay with Superman while he's defeated at first, the camera stand on him strong while he delivers this monologue to Lex, expressing his humanity and being proud of his skin. I quickly wanted to stray away from the essay and say this one thing. I've seen a lot of discourse surrounding this monologue saying it's too on the nose, and I disagree. In a different context, sure, but shouting this to Lex is important because Lex is a dangerously ignorant and powerful man. So something like this, while on the nose, is something so painfully in your face because a man so damned in his ways probably needs to hear it. But also because Clark needs to hear it himself, because he needs to feel it in himself. It's beautiful. Both of these characters battle with overcoming perception. Batman's is with the city and their viewpoint of him by the end, and Superman's is with himself by the end, and how it's viewed by others surrounding him. A beautiful concept that's mirrored between our world's finest, because justice means nothing if it has no sense of hope in it, and hope means nothing if a sense of humility isn't there either. I figure by now, you can tell how passionate I am about the conceptual similarities both of these movies share. And honestly, if it weren't for this tweet, I wouldn't even be making this video right now. I love how similar these films are, and it aids in my appreciation for the contrasting tones and visual language both movies share. Now, this leads into the timely question of whether or not Pattinson should be in the DCU. Well, in my opinion, while I'd be fine if we get a specific Batman for the DCU, why not have Pattinson be the DCU Batman? I think it would be awesome. Many people's main criticism with Pattinson in the DCU is that the tones are too different, but I raise this. Isn't that the point? Have we as a society gotten so used to the same visual style, tone, and writing in all of these universe films that we forget these individual heroes are etched in different writers, artists, and directors with the talents to make shit different? When I watch The Batman, Greg Fraser's beautiful cinematography is etched in reds, oranges, and black, cementing our Batman. Yet in the Superman, it's etched in color. There's saturation, the city pops in color and contrast. But when you put these movies side by side, can't you see why they contrast but come together in harmony? It's beautiful! Cinematic universes don't need to be seen the same way across 26 movies. How are they supposed to be unique in that way? I'd love seeing Pattinson in his own movies, in this gritty realism, this dark tone, and then see how that kind of character can be used in a Justice League movie with a lighter and brighter one. That's what filmmakers are supposed to do. We had a Batman in the animated series and a Batman in the Justice League that shared the same voice actor, and it worked. Let's try it again, but for live action. Batman is a realistic character and should stay that way, but he's also a realistic character set in a universe where gods try to be human. Isn't that the point of both of these films? A man lusting after symbolism, learning his humanity is still with him, and how to change his own message, and an alien being targeted for his appearance, when all he tries to do is prove his life is just like regular humans. That duality is gorgeous. I want to see Robert Pattinson's Batman interact with David Cornsweat's Superman. They're built for each other. These movies prove that. And the cinematic harmony these two movies have is genuinely, and I mean this, fantastic. I personally don't want to see a Batman decades older with David's Superman. Give us a Batman on his level at his age with similar emotional arcs at that time. Oh wait, we already have that, and it's called The Batman and Superman. So yeah, I'd like to see Robert Pattinson's Batman in the DCU. Will it happen? Probably not. But if there's anything these two movies have taught me, is that it's never a bad thing to have hope in something, and that's what I'm going to have. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. Do you think Pattinson should be in the DCU? Do you think the movies mirror each other in any other ways? Let me know. Videos like these are so much fun to make. I forgot how passionate a topic like this can get me, so please like and subscribe if you want to see more like this. Closing in on 25k subscribers, so hit that button now and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. As always, y'all, see you in the next one. Peace out.